Maybe for this video you guys will get some bloopers. Bloopers, you're gonna get bloopers because bloopers is clearly too hard of a word for me to say. I'm already knowing that I've thrown y'all for a loop because I know the first thing in your mind is like,
bitch, that's not your room.
But the gag is, y'all, this actually is my room. Yeah.
It's very anarchistic, you know, to the people, right? Power to the people. All power to the people. Right on.
We are the only ones that are going to save us. What is up, you guys? It is your girl, Anarcha-feminism. Y'all was probably looking at all the decor and the colors in the other room thinking like, oh, okay, that's Samaya's style, that's her vibe. Whole time, I don't know nothing about that lifestyle.
I don't know nothing about that lifestyle, whatever y'all got going on, because that's not me.
However, this is real. This is me. I just felt like it made more sense to actually film in the space where I write the scripts for the videos, I edit all the videos, I come up with the concepts. But let me stop yapping and let me get to the reason why we're here. Thank you guys so much for 1,000 subscribers. I love y'all, appreciate y'all. I put up in the community section that you could leave your questions in the comment section below. And I also did a questions sticker thingy on my Instagram, so I recorded questions on there as well. So first things first, let's get the frequently asked questions part out of the way. And this is based on things that I've been asked in the past a lot on Instagram and just in general in all the years I've been creating on YouTube. And there's also some assumptions, maybe some things that I probably, if I put myself in y'all's mind a little bit, maybe these are some things that you probably are wondering or probably just need clarity on, so that is what this section of the video is for. So first things first, I am 27. I know the face gives fountain of youth, okay? And I look very young, but I am indeed 27. I have a baby face, and you know what? It's gonna be all good because when I'm like 87, it's gonna be giving 67.
I know that's right.
I am an editor, writer, and artist. I say artist now more so to kind of encapsulate my time as like a pop cultural critique and singer, songwriter, R&B side. I just say art to that because I love art, I love creating. So to kind of encapsulate all like the music things, we're just gonna say artist. And also just a little bit more about me, I do identify as queer. If you would like a little bit more of a deeper insight into my journey to queerness or realizing that I was queer, you can read my piece on Substack entitled Doing My Own Dance. And just in general, when it comes to me, y'all, I love a good time. I love a good laugh, I love to a kiki, and I love a good meme. There's a reason why the Bookstagram girlies dubbed me the meme queen, because when it came to the wrap-ups, baby, I was gonna give you a laugh and I was gonna have the perfect meme for it.
Oh, she's taking it.
For those of you, before I was an Anarcha-feminism on YouTube and on my Instagram, the one that most of you guys follow me on, I was Well Read Singer. That account started as a book account, and then it just clearly became a place for a whole lot more. So that's a little bit about me. I tried to just cover the basics. Oh, fun fact, for anyone that may be wondering, the song that you hear at the end of my videos in my outro is me. That's actually my song, an unreleased song. Let's get into the first question. I want to start off with a fun one because one of my favorite things in the entire world is books. So Bars NYC, and you guys already know that's an organization that I'm a part of. Bars asked me, what are 4 books that you enjoyed and would recommend? So I have read a lot of nonfiction in the past year or so due to all the researching I've done and all the things, right? But I am at heart, I'm a fiction girly. Okay, I'm going to give a mix of nonfiction reads and fiction reads with my recommendations, okay? So one book that I recommend is You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty by Kweki Emezi. Now I'm gonna tell you right now, when it comes to Emezi, I will read anything that they write. I actually have so much beef with the people that whenever they're talking about this novel, the first thing they say are like the only thing they got from was,
oh, it's just a messy romance.
I'm like, that's all y'all got from this book?
Oh my God.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to yell. So if you want a book that does not shy away from some of the really hard parts about grief and grieving, if you're not scared of characters that are flawed, if you want a lot of nuance and complexity, this is the book for you. The second book I recommend, and it is The Prophet by Robert Jones Jr. Cause Girl, Robert. This is one of my favorite books of all time. But if you love historical fiction, if you love a bit of magical realism, and you want some three-dimensional characters to really pop off the page for you, this is going to do it. Now, this next recommendation should be no surprise considering how much I talk about this woman, but Wayward Lies, Beautiful Experiments by Saidiya Hartman. This book changed my life. The first time I ever came in contact with Saidiya's writing is I actually read an excerpt from this book on the Anarchist library, and it was entitled The Anarchy of Color Girls Assembled in a Riotous Manner. And I don't want to get too deep into that right now because somebody asked me a question that I'm going to answer later on in the video, but highly suggest. This is my favorite Saidiya Hartman book. I'm still in the midst of reading scenes. I have not completed it, but just to let y'all know, I have all of Saidiya's books. It's serious.
Give her her tens. Give her her tens.
But the last book of the top 4 books I want to recommend to y'all is Afro-Pessimism by Frank B. Wilderson. I feel like the best way to kind of really get into where to start coming to understand Frank's work is by watching him do panels and interviews. I feel like watching a few of those and then actually picking up Afro-Pessimism will make things a lot easier to digest. And I really love Afro-Pessimism, the book by Frank, because it's such a beautiful blend of critical theory, memoir. That is the last book in the top 4 books I'd recommend. The next book on my recommendation list is Blacktop Wasteland by S.A. Cosby. I love a good thriller. Okay, I love something that keeps me on my toes and just actually just has such a good plot, such good characters. It feels cinematic. S.A. Cosby has mastered the art of cinematic storytelling, and I am so excited that some of his works are finally being adapted to the screen. I think in order to really kind of get a feel or a grasp for who Cosby is as an author, this is the book to start with. Personally, that's just me. Blacktop Wasteland by S.A. Cosby was a part of my honorable mentions in terms of books I recommend. So the next few books in my honorable mentions list, just to give you guys a few more, I love The Come Up by Nia Forster. I love anything that Nia Forster writes, to be clear. She is one of my favorite authors. She is known for her romance, but don't get it twisted. The mystery and detective stories as well, she eats those up too, okay? And then for my last honorable mention, I do want to give a shout out to Chain Gang All-Stars by Nana Kwame Adjei-Brenyah. If you are someone that enjoys conversations about abolition but want to see it utilized in a really unique way and also want to get into a very scathing critique of the prison industrial complex, this is for you. So those are the 4 books I recommend along with some honorable mentions because I just want to give y'all a little extra. So now moving on to some of y'all's questions. Someone asked me, what do you see as the most important thing anarchists can do today to bring about a future revolution? Now, this is something that I talk about more in depth in the Borderless Intimacies conversation that I had with G and Andrew a while back, which I know you guys really enjoyed that video. But for me, when it comes to bringing about revolution, it starts with the internal work. What must we do to unpack, you know, the inherent anti-blackness, the homophobia, the transphobia, the ableism? What are the ways in which we have been indoctrinated by this current order? How do we unpack that? So internally, there's a lot of work for us to do on ourselves before we even get to the point of physically building something else. Because, okay, we can have the new systems and structures and all these things, but it makes no good if we ourselves are still carrying parts of that old system or of that old world. So I think along with doing that internal work, that would also mean modeling the behavior and engaging in the practice that you actually want. I think the revolution that everyone seeks or everyone's thinking of is already here in a lot of ways. We just have to find each other and find our people. And I think also sometimes when we talk about revolution, we're always kind of waiting for this revolution with a big R, right? I know this is something that Ashanti Olsen has talked about quite a bit, but you know, there is no big revolution. You know, it's just small revolutions started by small people that really want to change the world around them. So it starts with you. It starts today. It starts right now. Another question that I was asked is thoughts on anarcha-feminism. My introduction to anarchism came through Black anarchism, which of course is rooted in the Black radical tradition. And then later on, I learned about classical European anarchism. So when I first think about anarcha-feminism, I'm actually thinking more so about a Black anarcha-feminism, and I start thinking about Black anarchist women. So the first person for me that comes to mind is I think of Lucy Parsons, and I think of her her work and her writings, and how I spent time reading a lot about her when I was first learning about Black anarchism. In a more modern context, I think about Zoe Samudzi, and there was this panel that Zoe did years ago that I loved. I have watched so many videos of Zoe just discussing her work, and it's actually because of her that I started thinking more about what exactly would a Black anarchic feminism or a Black anarcha-feminism look like. And when I think about, of course, historically the ways in which Black women have always engaged in, anarchism, like with these anarchist tendencies, something that we discussed again in that last conversation, I think a lot about that chapter I told you guys about in Wayward Lives, Beautiful Experiments, the anarchy of colored girls, assembled in a riotous manner. And I always say that excerpt from Wayward Lives changed my life in such a pivotal way, because it finally clicked to me the ways in which Black women have always engaged in this practice, have always engaged in mutual aid, the ways that Black women have and continue to cultivate something in the midst of the various ways in which they are constricted says a lot about that anarchist tendency. So for me, when I'm thinking about anarcha-feminism, I'm thinking more deeply about Black anarcha-feminism. And, so Zoe Samudzi, Lucy Parsons, and Saidiya Hartman are three women in particular that I look to kind of help form and deepen my thoughts when I think about something I want to do in the future, how I want to contribute to, I think, developing more and thinking through a Black anarcha-feminism. So I hope that answers your question. I wanted to go a bit deeper because it's such a good question. I haven't really talked about anarcha-feminism, I don't really feel like, in a really deep way yet on my channel, so this kind of gave me the opportunity to do that briefly. Someone asked me, how do you deal with life while being an anarchist in this time? Sometimes it can get hard to find motivation to keep fighting for the cause. Listen, I feel you. I feel you on this. And honestly, life is always going to life, okay? There's always going to be something happening, something going on. And I think when we, as people that are hyper aware, I think of what's at stake and all the things happening in the world, it can feel like, is the fight worth it? I think the thing for me, as a Black anarchist and as an Afro-pessimist, things that kind of keep me grounded or keep me always impassioned about doing the work is creativity and community. Those are two major things for me. I think my ability to create radical, accessible political content and actually helping people understand concepts or be introduced to political ideology or theory that can help them as they form their own practice. And so knowing that I'm able to help people, just give them pieces or to help them kind of find a way to navigate that is important, because then it means that they will go on and go out into their communities and with their friends, their loved ones, and model that behavior that I talked about earlier. They're starting that internal work and now they're putting things into practice to create that world, right? So, and just community. I have a lovely community of you guys on here, being able to talk to y'all and get to know y'all. The community I've built on my Instagram and just my friends and my loved ones and my partner, I really do have, I'm so privileged, to say the least, because I could go on and on about my people, but I am privileged, to say the least, to have the people in my life that I do, to be surrounded by them. Ultimately, I think kind of what motivates me to keep going, because it can be a lot, right? Honestly, I continue to struggle, I continue to fight, because for me it's what else is there? So I can sit back and let nothing happen, but inevitably for me, I know something will be done about me, right? Especially me being in a Black body. So I fight not even with the expectation that the future, the new world or the revolution is going to be what I expect it to be. I struggle not because I have a certain outcome in mind and that's what I'm working towards. I struggle knowing that there is a way in which people are not really willing to divest from the things that we have been indoctrinated with in order to get to that new world. And so I think that's why we are where we are and have been here for a long time. So I struggle regardless. I do the work regardless. I fight for liberation regardless of the fact that I may not live to even see that new world, to even see the new structure, the new system, the new ways of being. I do it quite literally because I want to. Because I think if I don't at least try, if I don't just try to create something, if I am not thinking critically about ways to bring that about right now, then it'll never be. I know that's kind of a long answer, but I really wanted to take the time to really think through that question because it's something that I feel like a lot of people may be struggling with. The radical possibility of something brand new is more appealing to me than anything. So for the next question, we actually got a 2-in-1, and I'm so happy. I'm so happy this question was asked because I've been down to talk about it for a minute. But not for real. So the first question is, do you watch or have you read One Piece or Dr. Stone or really any anime? And I am so pleased to tell you, friend, that I love anime. I really do enjoy it. Now, for me in particular, I'm going to name the animes that I'm currently watching and ones that I have finished. I am still very much, I'm a baby in the anime world, okay? Before my partner recently reintroduced me to anime, the only other anime I had seen was Haikyuu, the anime that's about the volleyball team. And I watched it because, when I was in high school, I did play volleyball for a bit, but I never finished Haikyuu. I still haven't finished it. So it's pretty much like starting over and being brand new. The first anime that I finished and absolutely love, and I think it's just always going to hold a special place in my heart, is Death Note. And if you must know, my favorite character is L. And as for animes that I'm currently watching, I love Gachi Akata. Like, I definitely feel like when it's all said and done, Gachi Akata is without a doubt probably going to be in my top 3 animes. Like I said, I'm new, I'm a baby. I don't know if that's crazy, I don't know if that's insane, okay? But I just, being locked in every single week when that new episode comes out, I want you to know I'm on that, okay? Me and my partner literally have like a wrap up or a debrief after each episode, so I'm loving that. And in terms for other animes that I'm paused on but do plan on finishing, I am on Full Metal Alchemist Part 2, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. I'm on Part 2, and then I still have to finish Hunter x Hunter. I am on Season 3 of that, so those are some of my favorite animes, the ones I'm currently watching. And the second question, or more so, Boogie Woogie wanted more of my thoughts on this, which first off, I appreciate that you are even considering my opinion. They said, making an anarchist character for my friend's pirate D&D campaign. I'll yap lore below if you care for that stuff. But what are some baseline traits or habits that you think I should consider beyond an aversion, detestation of authority, hierarchy, and binds of any figurative sort? I would say, while you're building this character, do not be afraid to let them be someone that really leans into empathy, but also someone that's not afraid to dive into the complexities and contradictions and the gray areas of their being, because as human beings we all hold contradictions, and I feel like sometimes we kind of shy away from that, or we don't want to reconcile with the ways in which maybe our political theory is kind of conflicting with practice in real life, or rather how our political ideology, the things we uphold or hold true to, are maybe in conflict with some other things. Like, I'm a black anarchist and Afro-pessimist, but I'm still very much a spiritualist as well. I'm someone that's quite interested in hoodoo and really any type of African-based spirituality. Really just kind of love to see characters with kind of just not being afraid to lean into like the gray areas of life. So I think if you want to include just more so, I guess, humanistic traits in this character, empathy, leaning into complexity and contradictions, and gray areas. I really hope that helped. For the last question, I'm so excited. A big smile came on my face when I saw where it came from. It Had to Be Said next. And I just want to take a moment. It Had to Be Said is someone that from the moment I kind of just started creating here on YouTube in this space has always been so welcoming, so supportive, and so kind. So thank you, comrade, for all your support. I love this question, and it's going to be, of course, in true Samaya fashion, kind of lengthy. How do we get more people to care about freedom? So when I got this question, I was already in a place where the word free, I was kind of wrestling with it. As most of you know, Asada passed recently, and so I wrote a piece about her, and it was a piece where I was kind of navigating through my grief and how I felt about her passing. And I used the word free in a way that I think it's not actually the word I'm getting at. And so in general, because I don't want to get too deep into that, because I am going to write more extensively about that, and you guys will know when that is done. But I think in general, the way to get more people to care about freedom is they have to already be in the mindset or have the understanding or know that the mere possibility of something better has to be more desirable than what we have learned to be content with. There are many ways in which we have kind of learned to navigate this hellscape we call Earth, right? So I think freedom, we must first understand, one, that we don't really know what it means to be free. And I think as someone who comes from a descendant of enslaved people who were always in search of freedom, in constant motion, and at most all they get is a reprieve, I realized that I can maybe think about what it means to be free. I can kind of maybe put a feeling to it, but I really don't know what it means. But what I do know is that what I have right now is not it. I feel like you almost quite literally have to develop this disdain for the ways in which this world has conditioned us to just be apathetic to what is happening around us. You can't be satisfied with the little ways in which you feel like there has been a win or a progression. And I'm not saying we don't celebrate wins when they happen, but I think we have to realize that we must always constantly be fighting for that radical possibility of something better. I know that was a kind of long answer, as all of these were. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you guys so much for asking me all these great questions. I cannot wait to do this again. I really hope you got to know me a little bit better, and I'm so excited to make more content for y'all. I'm working on a few projects right now, and I feel like at this point y'all already know that, listen, it gives 2 uploads a month, and I've heard really good y'all make it 3, but
Y'all finna jump me? Be honest.
I edit everything myself. I have to write a script. It takes time, but I really appreciate the way in which I never really feel like you guys are rushing me or pushing me. You guys are just always really supportive whenever a new upload comes out, and I really appreciate that about y'all. So thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you guys next time with another one.
It's not the destination.